Hi everyone, welcome to my video. So today I'm going to be talking about Amelia Dyer, the baby farmer from the 1800s. So let's get started. To start, Amelia was born in 1839 in the UK. And unlike other women that I have talked about that struggled growing up, Amelia actually grew up in a privileged home. She was the daughter of a shoemaker and was actually privileged enough to learn how to read and write. Growing up, she had to take care of her mentally ill mother, and she did this until her mother died, which some say that this might have taken a toll on Amelia's mental health as well and affected her later in life. When she was in her 20s, she trained as a nurse and as a midwife. She eventually used her own home as a birthing place for young women who gave birth to illegitimate children. There was a law back in the day which allowed men to actually not be financially obligated by the law of children that they had illegitimately. This law was called the Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834. And for a fee, baby farmers would take the unwanted children, adopt them. They would promise the mothers that they would find them a loving home, but they would usually end up mistreated and even killed. And Amelia was one of those baby farmers. She would actually place advertisements on the newspaper promoting her services. At first, Amelia would let the babies die of starvation and neglect. She would use an opium-laced syrup called a mother's friend to quiet the babies as they died of starvation. And she was actually able to get away with this for many years before she got caught, because usually the people who would give up their babies were unmarried people who didn't want others to find out about their children, or women who were impoverished and couldn't take care of them. And the women who wanted to check up on their children or even take them back always had trouble doing so, and most of the times they were too scared or ashamed to tell the police about any wrongdoings that they thought might be going on. Other times when the police were involved, they weren't able to trace back any of the missing children. Also, another way that she was able to get away with it was because when the deaths of the babies were reported, the reason of death would be recorded as debility from birth or lack of breast milk. In 1879, she was caught because a doctor got suspicious about the number of deaths that he had to certify under Amelia's care. And when she got caught, instead of being convicted of murder or manslaughter, she was convicted to 6 months of hard labor for neglect. This allegedly destroyed her mental health, even though honestly the punishment was just a slap on the wrist, if you ask me. She tried to go back to nursing, but was in and out of mental hospitals because of her mental instability and suicidal tendencies. She had also been abusing alcohol and opium-based products. In 1890, she took care of the illegitimate child of a governess. When the governess came back to check on her child, she figured something wrong was going on or something was off about her child. So she checked her child's hip for a birthmark that it had, and when it wasn't there, when she didn't see it, she called the police. The suspicions that the police had about Amelia made Amelia try to kill herself by drinking 2 bottles of laudanum. I don't know if I said that right, but it was 2 bottles of laudanum. but because of her long-term abuse to opium, she had actually built up a tolerance and survived. Amelia actually went back to baby farming and figured that it would be foolish of her if she decided to continue to involve doctors to issue death certificates for the babies, so she decided to get rid of the bodies herself. She also started using white tape to strangle the children. This was to kill the kids quicker so that she could bring in more children and get money faster. After a while, people started to get suspicious again, and she started to gain attention, especially from police and parents that wanted to get their kids back. So her and her daughter moved to different towns and cities, often to escape any attention or suspicion from people and police, and so that they continue to be anonymous and gain more and new business. Over the years, Amelia started to use different aliases as well. In 1896, a bargeman found a package in a river. In the package, there was a baby that was later identified as Helena Fry. A detective found the name Miss Thomas on the package with an address, which Miss Thomas was one of Amelia's aliases. This evidence led the police to Amelia, but even then they didn't have enough evidence to connect her to any crimes. The police decided to use a young woman as bait. This would help the police connect Amelia to her business activities, and so that they would be able to finally arrest her. On April 3rd, she was waiting for her new client to call her, but instead, a whole bunch of detectives raided her house. As soon as they went in, they were hit by this disgusting smell of human decomposition, but they didn't find any bodies. What they did find though was the white tape that she would use to strangle them, telegrams with adoption agreements, receipts for advertisements, and letters from mothers asking about the well-being of their children. It is assumed by the calculations the police made that she actually had killed over 400 babies. Amelia was actually arrested on April 4th and was charged with murder. During the month of April, 6 more bodies were found in the river that the first body was found in. Each baby had been strangled with white tape, which Amelia said that that's actually how you could identify that it was one of hers. On the 22nd of May of 1896, Amelia pleaded guilty to 1 murder. Her only defense was insanity, since she had been admitted to a few mental asylums, but the prosecutor argued that those were only for show, so that she'd be able to get rid of any suspicion. The jury took roughly about 4 whole minutes, to find her guilty. She was hung at Newgate Prison at 9 in the morning on Wednesday, June 10th of the year 1896. Alright guys, that is all I have for today. This is the final look. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye guys.